Hi guys, in this episode of Shri series, we will be talking about solving equations involving algebraic fractions. All right. In the previous video, we talked about solving linear equations. So in other words, equations were straight. However, if you look at question 1 and 2, you can see we've got an algebraic expression. In other words, that's an algebraic fraction. All right. If you look at question number 2, that's an algebraic fraction there as well as here. So what do we do when we have a question involving algebraic fractions? All right. One of the beauty of solving these types of questions, in other words, algebraic fractional equations, is we need to simplify them to linear equations. And once you simplify them to linear equations, the solution, or should I say the process of solving in a step-by-step basis becomes easy. All right. Now, before we attempt solving question number 1, there's one point I want to explain to you, and that is a concept called cross multiplication. So cross multiplication. All right. So what do I mean by cross multiplication? All right. Suppose you have A over B equals C over D. All right. Now that's exactly the same as this. All right. That is an algebraic fraction. All right. We've got A over B equals C over D. What do we mean by cross multiplication? And cross multiplication is a maths process whereby you multiply the numerator of one fraction by the denominator of the other fraction. All right. So I like to put an arrow here just to show what we're doing here. All right. So what that means is I'm multiplying A by D and I'm multiplying B by C. And that's what I meant. The numerator of one fraction is being multiplied by the denominator of another fraction. The denominator of one fraction is being multiplied by the numerator of another fraction. So what do we do when we cross multiply? So A times D becomes AD, and then you put an equal sign because there's an equal sign there, and B times C becomes BC. That's the only trick you need to do or apply when you're solving algebraic fractions, the concept of cross multiplication. This can only be applicable if and only if you've got an equal sign. I've seen students make this mistake and they go, oh, A over B plus C over D, and then they try to cross multiply. All right, that does not work here. All right, so I'll just put a cross there just to say you don't cross multiply when you have an addition or a subtraction sign. For cross multiplication to take place, you need to have an equal sign, such as in this equation here, as well as this equation. All right, so with that in mind, let's attempt question number 1. I'll just move this paper here so you guys can see. X plus 3 over 4 equals 2. So what is this operation telling us? What is the value of x? It could be a positive number, could be a negative number, it could be a fraction, such that when you add it to 3 and divide by 4, your answer is 2. That's literally what the question is telling you. All right. So x plus 3 divided by 4 equals 2. So what happens here? We've got 2 there. We assume that's 2 over 1. It makes sense because 2 divided by 1 is 2. Next, what we do is cross multiply, exactly like the previous example I showed there. So what happens? X plus 3 times 1. That's pretty straightforward because anything multiplied by 1 is the number or expression itself. So x plus 3 times 1 becomes x plus 3. And then you put an equal sign. 2 times 4 equals 8. Now, can you see what we've done is we've converted a fractional algebraic expression into a linear equation. So we've made something of a fraction into a linear equation. And now this becomes easy because in the previous session that I showed, when we solved linear equation, what we do, we put the x's on one side. All right. So in this situation, we'll move this over there, because now we need to get the value of x. And if you remember, when you move 3 over the equal sign, the sign will change. So from positive 3 to negative or minus 3. So therefore, that becomes x is equal to 8 minus 3 and x is equal to 5. Now, I want to know if I'm correct. What do I do there? In place of x, I'll put the number 5. So what's 5 plus 3? 8. And 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. So therefore, x is equal to 5. All right. Now, let's look at question number 2. Slightly more complex in the sense that you've got both algebraic expressions here. All right. So I'll read it out loud. 4x minus 2 divided by 3 equals 3x minus 1 divided by 2. This is exactly like the process of cross multiplication. So what I do, I will draw the arrows there telling you what exactly I'm multiplying. So 4x minus 2 times 2 and 3 times 3x minus 1. Now, you don't have to literally multiply it straight away. All you need to do is follow the process when you are expanding. I'll explain to you when I work through this step. So you've got 2 and 4x minus 2. All you got to do is put 2 and 4x minus 2 there. That's all you're doing. And that's what I meant by you don't have to simplify straight away. All you need to do is put 2 and 4x minus 2 equals 3x minus 1. So literally what I've done is I've just put the number, open the brackets, 4x minus 2 equals 3. I've put that number, open the brackets, 3x minus 1. I've had students asking me what happens when you swap. Let's say you put 2 4x minus 2 on this side and 3x minus 1 on that side. The same thing. It doesn't matter. All right. All you need to do is cross multiply 4x minus 2 times 2 and 3x minus 1 times 3. Now you can see this is exactly the same step. What we've done is we've converted something that's a fraction to a linear equation. All right. So what happens here? We now have to expand. So I'm just showing the arrows just to tell you what we're doing here. All right. So we've got the arrows here. So 2 times 4x is 8x. And 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. You put an equal sign there. And 3 times 3x becomes 9x. And then you put a negative there. And 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So what do we do in this situation here? We get the letters on one side and the numbers on the other side. All right. So what I would do is, let's say for a change, let me put the x's this side and I'll put the numbers on this side here. All right. So what I'll do is I'll put 8x on that side and I'll put negative 3 on that side. Same rule, when you move a number or a letter over an equal sign, its sign has to change. So negative 4 will now become positive 4. All right. And 8x will become negative 8x. Or in this case, negative 3, when you move it there, that becomes plus 3. So what happens here? We've got negative 4 plus 3 equals 9x minus 8x. And negative 4 plus 3 becomes negative 1. And 9x minus 8x is equal to 1x or x. So therefore, my answer is x equals negative 1. And all I need to do is put the value of negative 1 in the original equation. 4 times negative 1 minus 2 over 3. That should be equal to 3 times negative 1 minus 1 over 2. And that's how you solve equations involving algebraic fractions. So to sum it up, the first thing you need to remember is you need to cross multiply. All right. As you see here, I cross multiply there to get this, and the sign changes. In this equation as well, I've cross multiplied, and that becomes a linear equation. We expanding, and then we grouping like terms and unlike terms. It's still the same concept. The sign will have to change, and x is equal to negative 1. It's worth to mention the following, that you need to understand the basic processes of algebra. If you don't know the basic concept of expanding, this question is going to be hard. If you don't know the basic concept of grouping letters and numbers, this question is going to be hard. And most importantly, if you don't understand the concept of cross multiplication, this question is going to be hard. All right. Thanks guys for listening. Bye now.